Stitches of love we sew. In this online world we come to grow. Mom and Pop Quilt Shop, where hearts align. Let's embrace the craft and let our souls shine.
Hello everyone. This is a continuation of what we did on the long arm of quilting up this beautiful layer cake challenge from Allison. It was the Midnight Garden fabric. I have it all quilted up. It's beautiful. Love it. What I want to show you is how I'm adding just a little bit of a different flair to the binding. Now, flange binding is great, especially if you want to sew to the back and flip to the front. And it allows for those stitches to kind of be hidden in the flange so you don't see it, and it's much easier, and it kind of gives a little bit of a flair. So I thought, let's do that. But this being such a big project, sometimes when it comes to adding flange to binding, you kind of get some twist and twist to it. So what I thought is, let's try it a different way, which is adding the flange to the front and then sewing the binding onto the back and then flipping it onto the top and then sewing down. So you can either use a nice decorative stitch across here or a, just a straight stitch or zigzag or whatever. So, and that's catching everything, and you have a nice consistent flange on the binding. Okay, so what I did to get that, so it is a nice consistent pretty one. You can have a little bit more if you like, but that's just like a little peek of it. Is I took 1 1/4 strip of what I had left over from the backing, because I'm pulling the back to the front, just adding a little, little something. Because I had the binding that was matching the background, I thought, well, maybe I want it to disappear, but I'm like, no, let's make it pop up just a little bit. Why not, right? We have a little bit of fabric left over, so let's add a little zhuzh to it, right? So I took the strip of 1 1/4, and then of course you need the amount to go all the way your distance around your quilt. Okay, and then I just took that and I pressed it in half, just as if you would for the binding for the back, or the other binding. And then I just placed it on the front of the quilt, and I sewed really close to the edge, so maybe 1/8, just so I know when we were doing the binding from the back to moving it to the front, it was going to be caught in there and you would never see those extra stitches. So you can see right there how it's really, really close to the edge, right? Okay. And then we sew that right on there. And when it comes to the corners, you can still make some lovely pleated corners. You just go all the way to the edge and then cut, and then you just start again, having that little bit of overlap in between, okay? And then we're just going to fold it, make a nice point, fold it again, obviously tucking those threads in or chopping them off, make sure it's nice and pretty. And I just put a pin there so we could be able to see what it would look like when it was all finished. And I think it's going to look pretty. If I get the pin in correctly, it will. Okay, and we're just going to sew and sew and sew, all right? And we'll see what it looks like in the end. Oh, and for my thread, I have just this kind of like tone. It is an Aurifil 4060. Has a bit of like, I'd say like a olivey green to white to it. And I thought it would just nicely blend into the quilt. So I have that in the bottom and in the top. And I'll start, and then I'll take it around the corner, and then I'll show you what it looks like all done. I do have a decorative stitch on the machine. It's one of my favorites. It's kind of like a little heart ziggity zag. Heartbeat, sorry. Doesn't actually stitch a heart, okay? And then you can keep up how visually you want to even out. If you had some, weird and funky binding, you could like wave it or curve it or something, this on this part right here. Okay. So we're just going to try and keep ourselves right center. So it's doing a little bit from column A and like a little bit from column B. Don't forget to stop and with the needle down. You may see here that I do actually have my iron board right beside me on the table, because it allows for some of the weight of the quilt to be like distributed that way, so it's not pulling constantly down. So if you have like a TV tray or a little table that you can be able to plop things on to help alleviate some of the tension, and it just prevents like constantly pulling, because you need to like feel like you're chasing your binding around. Okay, let's sew till the end. Okay, so we're going to take that, I'm going to fold it up. Make sure we've got proper placement. Fiddling with the corner. Scooch that up just a smidge. Now put the needle down before you lift your foot. Pivot. Tuck all those little raw threads down in there. We're almost at the end here. So just as a refresher, we put a 1 1/4 inch flange on the front of the quilt, so it's really close to the edge. We put a 2 1/2 binding folded, stitched onto the back of the quilt, and then flipped to the front to sew on. So it's 1 1/4 and 2 1/2. Just do a little back stitch, and then we reveal the whole quilt. It's gorgeous. It's so pretty. Oh my, it looks gorgeous. Oh, all right, let's take a good look at that binding, because that's what we're here for. Looks great to me. I think it looks very pretty. It really adds an extra special touch to a quilt when you want to put it, the stitch from the back to the front. And then you can see, well, minus the threads a bit here and there that needs some trimming up, but it just disappears. You don't even see it, just kind of disappears right along the edge there. Thank you very much for watching, liking, and subscribing. We greatly appreciate you here at the Mama Pop Quilt Shop. So check us out. We'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody. Take care.